There's an event happening locally for local musicians and recording artists to come together and showcase their artistry. It'll be happening April 12th in Royal Oak at the Gathering House, and it'll be featuring a well-renowned and traveled artist who's located right here in Sylvan Lake. So join us right here live on The Splash as a musician and resident of Sylvan Lake, Michigan. We have Mr. Al Carmichael. Thank you for being here, Mr. Carmichael.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So I've read a little bit about your story, about your career and your journey, and a very remarkable journey, nonetheless, from national tours to living here right in Sylvan Lake. What makes this community special to you as a musician and a neighbor?
Wow. Well, you know, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's a peacefulness here in Sylvan Lake. I've lived here since probably 1981, and it's just been a wonderful place to live. There's never any problems. People treat you great. It's very laid back. You know, people are friendly, and it's just a nice place to be. You don't have to really worry about too much Sylvan Lake. So
I'd agree with that too. Nice and tranquil and calm and peaceful, and you can't complain. I want to ask you, let's go ahead and add some context to it right now. Just give a brief overview of your musical journey and how it started, because just looking at a few notes, I see it started way early. You began playing at 1, played your first gig at 15. Please continue.
Kevin, that's a typo. It should have said 11, not 1.
Okay.
I keep trying to tell people to change that. I don't know where they get this particular.
I was gonna say that's incredible.
But I started when I was like 11 years old.
Okay.
I had some friends that lived across the street from me. I lived in Farmington at the time, and they had guitars lying around in the house, and I would pick them up and I would hit a note and fret a note or something on it, and it was just like there was a whole mystery behind that with the music. And the same, I used to try to play piano, but I'd never had any lessons. And I was fascinated by the music, but I never understood it. It was like it was all a big mystery in there. And so one day I asked my mom and dad if I could take some guitar lessons. So I came home with a classical guitar, and it just consumed me. Just from that point on,
nice.
That was the road I went down. I dropped wanting to build hot rods and play baseball and everything else. I just got into music. It was my thing, you know.
I'm not mad at that. But like we said, we also know that you, besides your early stages of being a musician, you've traveled and done a lot of different things too. Can you speak to that as well?
Well, the traveling, most of the traveling was either to go to Nashville. I wrote with people in Nashville, or early in the 70s, I did a lot of, I guess it was just in a band, and we played all over the place. You know, we'd play like Traverse City in Holland or Lima, Ohio, or, you know, and earlier in the 70s, I played with a guy named Peter Bowen, who ended up becoming a novelist later on. But we used to travel to like Champaign-Urbana and different places, Kalamazoo. There was a lot of just, the gigs were not all locals, I should say.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it was still part of the journey. I'm pretty sure it was a lot of fun, a lot of great memories there. And you did something a lot of people don't necessarily get to in their creative or musician, their careers as musician. You got to a point of traveling, taking your talents to different places to showcase it and put on big stages. So I want to applaud you for that, for living out your dream and achieving some of those goals. But I want to kind of talk about the contrast between your early years performing in studios and on these stages to now you're doing more intimate shows right here in West Bloomfield. Speak to that and how that feels.
It's all good. I mean, the thing that we're going to do on Saturday is basically, it's kind of called a Songwriters in the Round thing.
Okay.
This particular case, we're going to have 3 songwriters. We're going to have Jeff Scott, Julianne Ankley, and myself. And what we do is we just have our guitars, and we set up on stage, and one will play a song, and then we pass the baton to the next person. They play a song, then the next, and then it comes back around.
Okay.
So we do that for about an hour and a half. And that is a very intimate thing because, you know, it's like if you remember the days of the MTV Unplugged, where rock guys or whatever would come out and they would just play their songs acoustically. It's very stripped down, you know, so the song becomes more important than the record or anything else. So that if you don't have a good song to begin with, it really doesn't matter how much production and music you pile on it. It's still not going to be a great record.
Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
Unless you've got the underlying, you know, foundation of a song. So
yeah. No, go, please.
that in contrast to, say, playing in a band, like last Saturday I played at the Penn Theater with a guy named Jeff Phillips, and he does a tribute act, a Elton John, Billy Joel thing, and I play all electric guitar in that. So I'm part of this band, and all really strong musicians, and that's a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah.
The Songwriter Showcase thing is very much a stripped down thing. I mean, every once in a while, somebody that you're playing with will join you and maybe play a solo or something, but generally it's just you and your guitar.
Yeah.
And
good vibes, good energy, good frequency, people building off of each other. It just sounds like a great time and a great atmosphere in general, just for creatives in general. So I love that you're having that experience as well. And with us right here live on the Splash, by the way, Al Carmichael, musician and Sylvan Lake resident, talking about performing at the Gathering House in Royal Oak Saturday, April 12th as well. And with you traveling and doing different events and just having a lot of experience as a musician in general, how important do you think local music venues and events like the one you are attending this weekend, how important do you think they are in building community and nurturing talent?
I think it's really important. We've, you know, on one hand, due to things like streaming, music itself has been very much devalued. You know, if you want to listen to, you've got Spotify or Apple Music.
Yeah.
You know, I want to hear this, what I grew up with in 1970. You ask it and you get it. So it's basically, it's killed sales of you know, music, vinyl, CDs. I don't know if they're still making cassettes. You know, so and another thing related to that too is, all right, when I grew up, there was 3 television channels. There, here in Detroit, if you wanted to listen to pop music, there were 2 stations. There was WKNR and CKLW.
Okay.
And everybody listened to this. Like, I went to a beach one time and I was walking down the beach and I would hear a song on somebody's transistor radio. I'd go to the next walk a ways. I'd hear the same song on another one. Everybody was tuned into the same thing. So music was a much bigger part of the culture growing up for me in the 60s, 70s, even in the 80s. It started to change in the 90s. And now, you know, like bands used to go out on tour to promote their album. Now they make an album to promote their tour because the albums don't really sell.
Man.
And so, you know, I think it's important. I think music is an important human thing that needs to be kept alive in one way or another. And despite, you know, the struggles with technology and how things have changed as far as the access and everything, there's really nothing like live music. I have some friends that do this. It's called an open mic, and I've done 2 of these this week. I did one on Tuesday, and then I attended another one last night the Bachelor One, which is right over in Kego, you know, and they had a full turnout. People were just loving the live music. It really does elevate, you know, the human experience to have live, real music in the world. So
I agree.
I would say it as far as for the community and the culture, I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Bringing people together. And there's a lot of cases where people do enjoy live music, but sometimes they don't even know where to go for live music for local artists and things of that nature, which is why we come into play to promoting things like that as well. Don't want to hold you up too much longer, sir. I want to ask you a few important questions I think our audience would appreciate. There's many young artists that live right here in the greater West Bloomfield community. What advice do you have for these aspiring musicians to try to find their voice and their audience in today's musical landscape?
That's a really good question. And I don't think there's any real easy answer to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's when I was growing up, the idea was to try and get good enough to get a record deal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've come to the conclusion that record deals, the only people that make money on the record deals are the record companies,
Correct.
usually.
Yeah.
Unless you're somebody like, you know, like the Eagles or Fleetwood Mac that sold 100 million records. But when you think about the number of people wanting to play music versus the number that actually break through to really the highest level, like a Michael Jackson or the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very, very rare thing. So what I would say for somebody that wants to go out and do it and promote their own art is, first of all, I mean, you've got to work on all your skills. You have to work on your songwriting skills. You have to work on your vocal skills. You have to work on your musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to learn how to be somewhat entertaining on a stage, you know.
Right.
That's very, very important. How you set up the next song you're going to play and things like that. That makes the experience a lot better for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is networking. You know, go to things like open mics and see somebody that you really like, and you know, get to know them and ask them what they're doing. And well, I'm playing over at this club over here, or I'm going to be doing a songwriter showcase over here. Or, you know, you network with people, and possibilities open up quite often. It's that's about the only way to do it these days, really. You know.
Yeah. Collaboration, essentially, you can't do it on your own, so you might as well find a way to find people to work with, collaborate with, build a team, and just grow from there. Like you said, there's so many different skills that you have to actually work on to be a very successful artist nowadays. It's not just making music or going to a computer. It's like you said, your vocals, your songwriting, and just your stage presence. There's so much to it as well. And Mr. Carmichael, we appreciate your time. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. But lastly, I do want to ask, what can the residents of the greater West Bloomfield community do to support some of our artists who are going around trying to expand and further their careers?
Well, attend the shows. That's the main thing.
Yep.
I was referred to you by a woman named Kelly Krause.
Mm-hmm.
And Kelly, I don't know if she's doing it this year, but the last few years, she's raised money here in Sylvan Lake and has done a series of concerts right here at our community center. In fact, I've played a couple of them. And it draws a pretty nice crowd of people. And
Cool.
People really enjoy it. You know, some of us are on fixed incomes and don't have can't drop $300 to take your significant other out to a bit venue to see a big name act. But
Mm-hmm.
You can go over to the community center for free and have a real nice evening of listening to some great artists. So I would say do that. I know that the Sylvan Table here in Sylvan Lake is having music now. In fact, I'm going to be there on April 30th this month. And
Okay.
I think that there's a place, I think it's called Goomba.
Guma.
Gooma.
Yes,
And
we've heard
I
of
know
it.
they've been having a Thursday night
Mm-hmm.
musician thing. So that, what we can do is go out and support these events. And it's fun,
Yeah.
There's nothing better than good live music. I remember back even in early 70s used to be all these little coffee houses like at Unitarian churches and stuff like that. And all kinds of different people would play and people would come, there was no drinking or smoking. You just went and listened to the
Yeah.
music. Great experience. And the only other thing I would say,
Please.
what you can do is keep an open mind. So many people now just want to go out and hear the songs that they grew up with and they already know. And they've become less and less enamored with listening to something fresh for the first time. There's kind of a trick to it. I mean, we did it naturally back in the 60s and 70s, but more and more people just want to be, fed what they already know. So keep an open mind, learn to enjoy things that you have never experienced before.
I can definitely agree with that as well. Open up your mind, your ears to some new content from local artists right here in your own backyard. Mr. Carmichael, we appreciate you so much again. And once again, if you are watching or listening, go and support Mr. Al Carmichael performing live at the Gathering House in Royal Oak. That'll be Saturday, April 12th. Doors open at 6:30. Sylvan Lake resident and musician, Al Carmichael, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been a blast.